I believe you asked what is a very classical chess question, and I'll try to answer it with the chessboard. So let's head over to the analysis. Okay. So you should be able to see the chessboard here. Actually, I think that the board might be mirrored here in the Wyzant interface. If it's not in the resulting video, then I'll keep it. Otherwise, I'll have to delete it. So you're basically asking whether E4 or D4 is better for beginning players. And to understand that question, we have to first analyze what is happening when these pawns are moving. So obviously, as you may have heard, when E4 is played, it opens up the diagonal for the F1 light-squared bishop, as well as the queen. Prior to E4 being moved, the total mobility of each of these pieces is 0. The queen has no squares it can move to, and neither does the bishop. After E4, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares for the bishop, and 1, 2, 3, 4 squares for the queen. That means that there is a total mobility square delta of 9 from the initial board position, which means the board position before the move, to the resulting board position. Thus, even though the move E4 does not actually move any of your pieces, I would consider it a developing move because it's increasing piece mobility. Now let's take a look at D4 as a comparison. So again, the Wyzant screen is a little bit mirrored here. But in any case, D4, similar to E4, opens up the diagonal for a bishop, and it creates 5 mobility squares for that bishop. It also opens up the queen, but it only opens up the queen by 2 squares. So it's a developing move that increases the mobility of the pieces by 7. So we have one move that's delta 9 and one move that's delta 7. And you can see why certain people prefer E4. There is, however, another important difference here. The pawn on D4 is defended by the queen. And this allows for moves like C4 in the queen's gambit. Because even if the opponent captures on C4, the pawn remains defended, whereas the king's gambit, in comparison with E4, E5, and F4, is much riskier, because after the opponent captures on F4, the E4 pawn is also going to be hanging. So because of this defense of the D4 pawn by the queen, it allows for the first player to more stably develop a strong pawn center. So I would say that the difference between the D4 opening and the E4 opening is whether you prefer to play with a strong pawn center or with strong piece development very early. And modern players tend to gravitate closer to the central development of the pawns, supported by the pieces, rather than a high degree of piece mobility right from the opening.